In the study of logic, a sound argument relies on concrete evidence, but sometimes people rely on a trap instead. You've probably heard it before. Someone makes a wild claim, and when you ask for proof, they shoot back with, "Well, prove I'm wrong." This is a formal logical error known as arguing from ignorance. It happens whenever someone insists a statement must be true simply because there is zero evidence against it, or that it's false because there is no evidence for it. To understand why this fails, we look at the rule of sufficiency. A valid argument requires premises that actively support the conclusion. An empty box of missing data provides zero support. A complete lack of evidence is never sufficient to prove a point. This brings us to another core rule, the burden of proof. If you make the claim, you are strictly responsible for providing the evidence to back it up. Arguing from ignorance is essentially an illegal move to shift that heavy burden off the claimant's shoulders and onto the skeptic. Accepting this tactic breaks the entire framework of rational debate. It treats a total absence of data as if it were hard facts, creating an impossible trap where you are suddenly responsible for disproving a claim built on nothing at all. The legal standard of innocent until proven guilty seems drawn entirely from a lack of evidence, but the courtroom operates under different mechanics. It's a procedural safeguard to protect citizens against the state, not a claim of objective logical truth. Another exception, a termite inspection. If an expert finds zero signs of termites, concluding the house is bug-free is rational. This works because the conclusion follows a rigorous investigation. The absence of evidence is the direct result of an exhaustive search, not a lazy void. Context dictates the rules. A valid negative inference requires maximum effort and expertise. Arguing from ignorance relies entirely on a lack of effort. Take the fallacy of quietism. A boss assumes female employees are happy with lower pay because they haven't explicitly complained. The flaw is obvious. He uses a lack of complaints as definitive proof, completely ignoring other variables for silence, like fear of retaliation. Consider Dot. She submits a job application, hears nothing for 2 months, and concludes she's rejected. She argues from ignorance by treating a lack of communication as hard evidence, filling the void with assumptions while ignoring the reality of notoriously slow hiring procedures. Filling an information void with a preferred conclusion, whether about a payroll or a job application, is a logical failure that completely distorts reality. Let's test this logic. A politician claims because his opponent hasn't stated opposition to a bill, he supports it. Pause and identify the flaw. Then, prove the opposite. Relying on no evidence is useless. That same void can equally justify saying he opposes it. That exercise you just did is a specific tactical countermeasure known as the opposite claim counterattack. It is exactly how you disarm this fallacy in a real-world debate. Let's try one more example. If someone claims psychokinesis is real simply because science hasn't proven it false, you expose the bad logic by flipping it. You point out that by their own rules, a lack of scientific proof makes psychokinesis completely fake. The goal here isn't to prove you are right. The goal is to force the opposing side to realize that relying on a lack of evidence leads to absurd, contradictory conclusions. Let's review the core rules. 1. The fallacy of arguing from ignorance treats no evidence as absolute proof. 2. This violates the burden of proof and the rule of sufficiency. 3. You fix it by deploying the opposite claim counterattack. Remember, whoever makes the claim carries the weight of the burden. It is their job to provide the data. Never allow an opponent to hand you an empty box and convince you it is full of proof.